do you see, I was talking about this with one of my other guests, significant legality issues? I mean, you've seen, I think there was a Jay-Z video that went out the other day, and it was, Jay-Z singing a new song, and it wasn't, it was AI. I mean, someone created that. We're getting so close now. I've seen Google's AI tool where you could just, with text, describe a song you want, and it'll create it for you. Absolute minefield potential of problems. I'm curious as to your thoughts.
Yeah, well, for sure. Like, I think like the challenge is essentially like how like right now AI is not creating from scratch really. So we have to have like the proof and the provenance of like what is the source content that is being used when AI is actually creating a new content from there. And like that's something that blockchain can resolve because you have all the history of the content, the proof of whose authorship, who is the original author of something. And I feel like that should be encompassed right from the beginning, and maybe like a framework around AI is probably already being discussed. Like AI has to disclose like the source, credit the author, the right of like having the paternity of like an idea of a design is still important to respect creators, and that's something we try to do at Sandbox. It's always like we are creator first, and we want to protect creators, virtual one and physical one. That's why we work hard to bring only official licensed content on the platform as well from there.
I have another question for you. I think the metaverse has been through an incredible hype cycle. I talk about being in the days when I talked about the metaverse and people would look at me like I had two heads. And then, fast forward a year or two, Mark Zuckerberg comes out, renames Facebook to Meta. Everyone went bananas. It was never going to explode onto the scene, and then AI seems to have like swept up everything. And there's headlines such as the metaverse is dead, which I think is insane that people are saying that. How have you dealt with that, and any sort of inputs or thoughts on Meta and Horizon Worlds?
So, well, let me reassure you, the metaverse is far from dead. It's actively building at Sandbox. Like,
it's only being born.
Never been into a hype cycle. Like, we started building when crypto market were like something crypto winter. We've been still building, and we're still building today. We're seeing more and more brands entering to become landowners, more users who are like participating into the experience or buying an avatar or creating an avatar. The avatar sales and then still are going and selling out, so no problem on that side. What's still like, and as we are going to enable self-publishing this year, I feel like it will even accelerate that adoption as like more project, more will be open on the platform, as Sandbox is still a platform in beta with just a few events live at some point. The strategy of like Facebook rebranding itself as Meta has really put a big shine of light on the overall ecosystem, which has been driving it. I think like there's really a recognition that metaverse spoke into all research. People were suddenly interested into it and so on. So that brought people in. Some people are still here, and that's for good. The ones that are left, they were probably not here for the right reason, and they are already jumping to the next bandwagon. I've been building with my co-founders Sandbox for, like I mentioned, 10 years, and probably will take us 10 or 20 more years to keep building that whole vision. But we're committed, and that's what matters at the end of the day. And that goes to like, well, it seems like Meta wasn't that committed after all, since after 2 years they already started to put on pause. Or maybe the approach to force the hardware and the software together to push like the metaverse as virtual reality only was wrong. I do believe so. Like I believe the metaverse is far more than virtual reality only. The fact that there are companies that represent essentially the Web2 business model of like capturing user data, owning it on instead of the user and using it for their advertising model, it's so far away of ethos of Web3 that it's been even harder for them to reinvent into like bigger companies that embrace like user ownership, opening access, using wallet, and so on. So that is a struggle that was not part of their strategy, but that definitely would have been a big struggle from them.
Sure. I think you kind of semi-answered this already, and I like what you said there about, look, if there was people coming in and they weren't sticking, they were gone, then they were not there for the right reasons. We saw Decentraland's Fashion Week happen a couple of weeks ago, and the numbers were not quite where we would hope they would have been. What's your thoughts on that, and what are the learnings to hopefully make sure that, the next one or other metaverse events continue to build in the right direction?
Well, I think like what the team at Decentraland has done is always like very, we should recognize the effort. Like they brought together all those brands. You had Tommy Hilfiger as part of it. You had Alo Yoga as part of it. And they were really leading the charge in terms of like integration, being present. They've done a great job that should be considered for this second edition. And I believe that it's starting to become something that years after years, like will potentially shape to become like Fashion Week. Like Fashion Week didn't become something out of the blue from the first start. Like most music festival make a name after like second or third iteration. It's because of word of mouth, because of like the creativity that drive the people, and because like the platform will keep improving over time, that like it will become something meaningful, and story will say like, I was part of the first one, I was part of the second one. Oh, I only joined in the 10th one. Like I never went to Coachella or to Burning Man, but still like the legend itself makes me want to go there now. And more people who were at the first one, like great for them, like they were like visionaries, etc. So I feel it has this potential. And Sandbox also will work into a metaverse fashion festival to bring brands to show some of the possibilities. I feel also like every virtual world platform try to cater to a certain audience. So the audience of Decentraland is a certain kind of audience. The audience of Sandbox is a different audience. And in fact, like let's see what comes from it. Like I think it can also be interesting.
Very, very true. And so last question, because I know you got to go. What's exciting? What's coming up? What can we see next? And what should we be looking out for in the Sandbox from you and your team?
So like we are still very committed to like develop like the tool of the platform in the sense of like upgrading Game Maker, upgrading Vox Edit to empower even more the creators. This year, the big objective is like self-publishing, so enabling any landowner to open their lands to their community, to start monetizing it the way they want through NFT gating, why not? And that will drive a greater diversity of content for people to explore with their avatar. And I think that's something pretty exciting to look forward. We'll release new land sale on the map, new curated region from Hong Kong with Megacity 3 coming at the end of this month. We have a K-verse new region, Musicverse, Movieverse, all of culture region that will be opening progressively and showing different experiences is quite exciting as well. And continuing to demonstrate possibilities around like interoperability, playing around with your favorite NFTs, launching your new NFT collection for many creators. Those are essential things. And at the end of the day, it's a world that we want to be owned and governed by the community. So putting in place a DAO is also quite important for us.
That's very exciting. I look forward to it. Sebastien, thank you so much. It's been an invigorating conversation. I've really, really enjoyed it. Hope to have you back at some stage in the future when you have more exciting developments in Sandbox. And again, thanks for coming, and I look forward to connecting again soon.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jonathan, and bye-bye, everyone. See you in the metaverse.